All right, buckle up, everybody, because we're about to take a deep dive into some seriously thought-provoking stuff.
Sounds intriguing.
It is, trust me. You know how you send in some excerpts from Osho's From Ignorance to Innocence?
Right. I was really hoping we could cover that.
Well, get ready, because this book, let me tell you, it doesn't hold back. It dives straight into the heart of why we humans are, well, often so miserable. And, even more importantly, how we can break free from all that.
I love how Osho just tackles these big questions head on, no sugarcoating.
Yeah, exactly. He's all about that. And one of his main points is that a lot of our suffering comes from blindly accepting what authorities tell us.
That's so true. It's like we're conditioned to just take things at face value without really questioning them.
He's talking about all kinds of authorities here.
hmm
Religious leaders, politicians, even society as a whole. He's basically saying we need to question everything.
It's almost like being a rebellious teenager, but on a much deeper, more philosophical level.
Haha, I love that analogy. And, to make his points, Osho uses all these captivating stories about kings, con men, even mischievous kids. Oh, and did I mention bed bugs?
Oh, yeah, the bedbug story is a classic. We'll have to get to that one.
Definitely. And trust me, his take on things like nonviolence and the true meaning of religion will definitely surprise you.
I'm ready to be surprised. So, where does he even start with all of this?
Well, he paints this incredibly vivid picture of a stinking river flowing through Jabalpur, India.
A stinking river. What's that all about?
It's a metaphor, actually. It represents the hidden misery that lies beneath the surface of society. All the stuff we try to ignore or sweep under the rug.
I see. He's going deep right from the start.
Exactly. So it's like he's saying, hey, look, there's all this misery bubbling under the surface. But does he blame anyone specifically for it? Like, is he pointing fingers at organized religion or anything?
That's the thing. He doesn't really play the blame game. He observes that misery seems to be a universal experience.
So it doesn't matter if you're a devout follower of some prophet or a total skeptic, everyone's got their own misery to deal with.
Exactly. He even compares the Eastern idea of misery coming from bad actions and past lives with the Christian concept of original sin.
Oh, interesting. So different cultures, different beliefs, but same basic human struggles.
Right. Just different ways of trying to explain the same underlying reality of human suffering. And he doesn't take sides, he just presents these different perspectives and kind of encourages the reader to think for themselves.
That's a refreshing approach, not about dictating answers, but more about prompting deeper reflection.
Exactly. And instead of getting stuck in the blame game, he wants us to explore the roots of our own individual misery. Like, hey, where does my suffering come from? What beliefs or assumptions might I be clinging to that contribute to this?
It's like he's handing us a flashlight and saying, go ahead, explore the dark corners of your own mind.
Uh-huh, that's a great image. And that exploration leads us to another really fascinating concept he introduces, philogia.
Philogia. Okay, you got to break that down for me.
It's a beautiful word, actually. It means love for seeing or love for experiencing. It's about prioritizing direct experience over just accumulating knowledge.
So instead of just reading about truth in a book, we should be out there actually living it, bumping into it in our daily lives.
Yes, that's it. He wants us to experience truth, not just theorize about it. He even contrasts his views on nonviolence with Mahatma Gandhi to illustrate this point.
Okay, that's interesting. I mean, Gandhi is like the poster child for nonviolence. How could Osho possibly have a different take on that?
Well, for Gandhi, nonviolence was a philosophy, a set of principles to live by. But for Osho, it's about a deep reverence for all of life, a reverence that guides your actions in each moment.
It's less about following a rigid set of rules and more about tuning in to your intuition, your gut feeling, about what feels right in a particular situation.
Yes, he's all about that. He's not a fan of blind obedience to rules. He wants you to question everything. And to illustrate this point, he tells this hilarious story about the Jainas.
Oh, I've heard about this. They take nonviolence to a whole other level, right?
Yeah. They believe in it so strongly that they would actually hire people to sleep on bedbug-infested cots.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah. They'd rather pay someone to get bitten than kill the bugs themselves.
Wow, that's dedication. Though I think I'll stick to bug spray.
Me too. But it's a great example of how far people are willing to go to uphold their beliefs.
It makes you wonder, how far would I go? Am I truly living in alignment with my values, or am I just clinging to ideas?
Right. It's about walking the walk, not just talking the talk. And that brings us back to Osho's emphasis on questioning everything. But does he want us to become these perpetual skeptics who doubt everything and everyone?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, because questioning is great, but you don't want to get stuck in a state of constant doubt.
Exactly. And that's not what he's advocating for. For him, it's not about doubt for the sake of doubt. It's more about peeling away layers of conditioning, expectations, and blind faith. Like, he wants you to shed those things that prevent you from experiencing truth directly.
So it's about clearing away the clutter, getting rid of the mental baggage that's weighing us down.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. He uses this really powerful anecdote about Stalin to illustrate this point. You know, Stalin, despite having a Christian upbringing, became incredibly ruthless after gaining power.
Right. That's a pretty sobering example. Shows how power can corrupt even those who start with supposedly good intentions.
Exactly. And so Osho is saying, hey, don't blindly trust authority figures or systems. You need to develop your own inner compass.
Your own internal sense of what's right and true.
Yes. And questioning everything, he argues, is a great way to start developing that inner compass.
Welcome back, everyone. Last time we were talking about all the mischief Osho got up to as a kid and his knack for questioning, well, pretty much everything.
Right. Always pushing boundaries.
Exactly. So how does all that tie into his views on, the future of religion?
That rebellious streak, I think it definitely plays a big role in what he calls a religionless religion.
Religionless religion.
Okay.
Okay, that sounds kind of paradoxical.
It is, kinda. Basically, he's calling for a complete break from organized religion as we know it.
So no more churches, temples, mosques.
Not exactly. More like no priests, no scriptures, no dogma.
Whoa, okay. That's a pretty bold statement.
Yeah.
So if it's not about rituals and beliefs and all that stuff, what is it about then? Is it even still religion at that point?
Well, he sees traditional religion as kind of a barrier between us and truth.
Like it's keeping us stuck.
Yeah, stuck in intellectual concepts and blind faith, preventing us from directly experiencing truth.
Instead of just blindly believing, we should be out there seeking, experiencing, and finding it ourselves.
Exactly. He emphasizes individual experience and direct awareness. That's the core of true spirituality for him.
So it's not about following some predetermined path. It's about blazing your own trail. But isn't there a danger in that? I mean, couldn't that lead to people making stuff up and just calling it truth?
That's a good point. It's a valid concern for sure. But Osho believed that true understanding comes from within, not from external sources.
So not from some guru on a mountaintop or a book or anything like that.
He wasn't a fan of blind faith. He even warned about the dangers of organized religion turning into cults.
Where people just blindly follow a charismatic leader without actually understanding what they're getting into.
Yeah, exactly. Where blind obedience replaces real individual understanding. He was all about empowering individuals to find their own truth, not just blindly following someone else's.
Makes sense. But how do we even go about doing that? Like, where do we even begin?
He emphasizes questioning everything.
Okay, here we go again. Question, question, question.
But it's not just about questioning external authorities, It's also about questioning our own thoughts and beliefs.
Whoa, okay. So even our own internal narratives are up for scrutiny.
Absolutely. He sees doubt not as a weakness, but as a tool.
A tool for what?
For sharpening our intellect, for pushing us beyond the comfort of, ready-made answers.
So it's like we're constantly refining our understanding, always open to new perspectives and new insights.
Exactly. You got it. And it's not just about intellectual exploration either. He also places a huge emphasis on meditation.
Oh, right. That was a big part of his teachings, wasn't it?
A huge part. Quieting the mind, he says, allows deeper insights to emerge.
Silence as a pathway to truth.
Exactly. It's about moving beyond that mental chatter and tapping into a deeper level of knowing.
Ah, so it's not just about thinking our way to truth. It's about feeling it, experiencing it directly.
You got it. It all circles back to his concept of philosia.
That love of experiencing truth.
Right. It's about really immersing ourselves in life rather than just observing it from a distance.
It seems like everything he talks about comes back to this idea of direct experience.
Yeah.
Really engaging with life with all our senses.
Yes, that's the core of it.
Okay.
And that leads perfectly into his distinction between individuality and personality.
Oh, right. Remember you mentioned that last time. He sees those as two very distinct things, right?
Totally. He believed that many pseudo-religions, they exploit our personality.
That mask we wear for the world.
Exactly. They exploit that to control us.
It's like they're saying, fit into this mold and you'll be accepted.
But if you step outside the lines, you're on your own.
Ouch. Yeah, that's pretty harsh. So Osho's advocating for something different.
Oh, yeah. He envisions a different kind of spiritual community, a commune.
Where people can just be themselves.
Totally, where people support each other's uniqueness without trying to force them into a mold.
That sounds kind of utopian, but I like where he's going with it. It seems like a pretty radical concept, though.
It is radical,
Yeah.
especially in a world that often values conformity.
Absolutely. And speaking of radical, we can't talk about Osho without mentioning his rebellious nature.
Right, always pushing boundaries, even as a kid.
So, did he ever get into, like, serious trouble for all that rule breaking?
Well, he did turn down a pretty prestigious university position.
Wow. Really? Why would he do that?
He didn't want to be confined by institutional rules and expectations. He wanted to forge his own path, and he encouraged everyone else to do the same.
So it's not just about questioning external authorities. It's about questioning any structure or system that might be limiting our freedom.
Exactly. Any system that prevents us from expressing our true selves.
But does he believe in any kind of structure or guidance at all, or is it just figure it all out on your own?
He didn't completely reject structure. He acknowledged that, especially when we're starting out on this journey of self-discovery, we need some guidance.
Like a mentor or a teacher?
Yeah.
Someone to point us in the right direction.
Right. But the key for him is that this guidance has to come from a place of respect for individual autonomy.
Not from a place of authority or control.
Yeah. More like a partnership than a dictatorship.
I can definitely get behind that. It seems like Osho's message is all about finding this delicate balance, questioning everything, but also finding our own inner compass, embracing our individuality, while also connecting with others.
You nailed it. He was all about balance. And he emphasizes that this journey of self-discovery isn't about becoming some extraordinary being.
So we don't have to become enlightened gurus sitting on a mountaintop.
No, not at all. It's about recognizing the extraordinary potential that already exists within each of us.
That's such a powerful message. It's not about achieving some far-off goal. It's about tapping into the wisdom and the potential we already possess.
Exactly. And that potential is unleashed when we dare to question, to explore, to be fully ourselves.
Even if it means going against the grain a little bit.
Sometimes a lot. And speaking of going against the grain, Osho was amazing at debunking myths.
Oh, yeah. He loved to expose the absurdity of blind faith. We talked earlier about his childhood prank where he convinced that guy he'd found miracle water.
Right, and that wasn't the only time he challenged those kinds of beliefs.
Oh, really? Tell me more.
Well, there was this one story about an Anne who claimed to have healing water.
Like it could cure anything.
Yeah, people flocked to him. They were desperate for a miracle. But Osho, he saw right through it.
So it wasn't actually real.
It turned out to be just plain old water.
What? So how did the guy pull it off?
Osho realized that the man's power, it didn't come from the water itself. It came from the belief that people placed in it.
The power of suggestion.
Exactly. It's a perfect example of how easily we can be swayed by what we want to believe.
That's fascinating. Makes you think twice about all those claims of miracles and supernatural phenomena we hear about, doesn't it?
Definitely. But was Osho trying to be like a debunker? Like he was on a mission to expose all these frauds?
That's what I was wondering.
Not really.
But
while he wasn't afraid to call out what he saw as deception, his intention wasn't to be a cynic.
So what was his goal then?
He just wanted to encourage people to think critically for themselves, to question their beliefs rather than blindly accepting what they're told.
It seems like a lot of his teachings boil down to this idea of awareness.
Right. Becoming more conscious of ourselves, our beliefs, the world around us.
He saw that as the key to, everything.
Pretty much. He saw it as the key to unlocking our true potential.
And to breaking free from all that conditioning that keeps us trapped in misery.
Exactly. He believed that through awareness, we can see the world more clearly, We can understand ourselves better and make choices that are truly aligned with our nature.
Okay, I can see how awareness would be crucial in that religionless religion he talks about.
Right. It's not about blindly adhering to a specific set of beliefs. It's about cultivating a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world. It's about becoming more conscious, more present, and more attuned to the truth that's already within us.
It's making me rethink my whole idea of what spiritual even means. It's not about rituals or dogma. It's about this inner awareness and living a life that's aligned with our values and our understanding of truth.
And he offers very practical tools for cultivating that awareness, like meditation, which we talked about earlier.
Right, calming the mind, observing our thoughts and emotions without judgment.
Exactly. It's about tapping into that deeper level of consciousness where truth resides.
So it's like building a muscle, the muscle of awareness.
Yeah.
And through practice, we become stronger. We become more capable of seeing things clearly.
You got it. It's a continuous process. It's not about reaching some perfect state of enlightenment. It's about continually refining our understanding, deepening our connection to ourselves and the world.
I love how he makes spirituality feel so accessible and practical. It's not about escaping the world, it's about engaging with it more fully.
Yes, he was all about that. He really emphasized that this journey of self-discovery, it's not about denying our humanity or seeking some escape from reality.
So no need to go live in a cave in the Himalayas.
Not necessarily. It's about embracing life fully with all the joys and sorrows and finding the beauty and meaning in those experiences.
Sounds like he was a pretty remarkable guy. I'd love to hear more about his own journey.
Oh, it's fascinating. His life was full of both controversy and inspiration.
Sounds like we've got a lot more to unpack.
Definitely, we can dive into that next time.
All right, can't wait. Until then, I'll be practicing my awareness muscles and trying to steer clear of any bed bugs. All right, welcome back, everyone. It's time for the final part of our deep dive into Osho's From Ignorance to Innocence. Last time, we were talking about his unique approach to spirituality and his emphasis on awareness. I'm really curious to hear more about his own life journey and how he dealt with, all the challenges that came with sharing such unconventional views.
Yeah, his life was definitely far from ordinary. I mean, he was a controversial figure, no doubt. Lots of criticism for his views and lifestyle.
I can only imagine. But he also seemed to attract a lot of followers, people who really resonated with his message.
Absolutely. He was a very charismatic teacher, and lots of people were drawn to his ideas about living a more authentic and fulfilling life.
We talked earlier about how he turned down that prestigious university position. Did he face a lot of backlash for that decision?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Many people saw it as a sign of rebellion, rejecting traditional values.
But for him, it was about staying true to himself. Right. Even if it meant going against what society expected of him.
Exactly. He felt that institutions, even prestigious ones, could stifle individuality and creativity. He didn't want to be boxed in.
So he chose to create his own space for teaching and exploring spirituality.
That's right. He established ashrams in India and later in the U.S., places where people could come to meditate, to learn, to connect with like-minded individuals.
Those ashrams were often described as being very vibrant, unconventional communities, right? Challenging norms and promoting personal growth.
Yeah, exactly. They were all about embracing individuality and self-discovery, creating a space for people to really be themselves.
It sounds like he was really creating that commune he envisioned, a space where people could support each other's uniqueness and explore spirituality outside the traditional religious framework.
That was the goal, but it definitely wasn't without its challenges. I mean, he faced opposition from religious groups, from the government, even from some people within his own communities.
I can see how his teachings could be seen as controversial, especially back then. What kinds of things was he accused of?
Oh, there were accusations of him being a cult leader, of promoting promiscuity, all sorts of things. It was intense.
Wow, that's a lot to deal with. So how did he respond to all that criticism? Did it ever make him waver in his beliefs?
He never backed down. He addressed the criticism head on, often with a lot of wit and humor, actually.
So he didn't take himself too seriously.
He was definitely serious about his message, but he didn't get bogged down by the negativity. And he always stressed the importance of individual responsibility and critical thinking.
So even when facing harsh criticism, he still encouraged his followers to question everything, including his own teachings.
Absolutely. He wanted people to form their own conclusions based on their own experiences and understanding, not just blindly accept what he said.
It's a great reminder that not everyone will agree with us, especially when we're challenging norms. But that shouldn't stop us from speaking our truth and living authentically. It takes courage to stand up for what you believe in, even when it's unpopular.
For sure. It's not always easy, but it's essential for growth and for creating positive change in the world.
So we've talked about Osho's ideas, his life, the challenges he faced. But I'm wondering, how did he see all of this connecting to the future of a religion? What was his vision?
He believed that traditional religion, with its focus on dogma and external authority, was becoming less and less relevant in the modern world.
Kind of losing its appeal, especially for younger generations.
Yeah, he felt people were increasingly turning away from organized religion and looking for more individualized, experiential forms of spirituality.
Something more personal, more tailored to their own unique needs and experiences.
Right. He envisioned a future where spirituality would be less about following rules and more about cultivating a direct connection to something greater than yourself, whatever that might be.
It sounds like he was ahead of his time in a lot of ways, because we are seeing a big shift towards Spiritual, but not religious, aren't we?
Definitely. More and more people are identifying that way, and there's growing interest in things like meditation, mindfulness, and yoga, which all emphasize personal experience and inner exploration.
So Osho's ideas, while controversial in his time, might actually be more relevant than ever. It's like his vision is starting to take shape.
It's quite amazing to see how his teachings are resonating with people today. It's like he planted these seeds and now they're starting to blossom.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into From Ignorance to Innocence, what are some of the key takeaways we can apply to our own lives? What would you say are Osho's most important messages?
Well, I think one of the most crucial takeaways is the importance of questioning everything. Our beliefs, our assumptions, the messages we receive from the world around us. We need to cultivate that healthy skepticism, that willingness to challenge the status quo.
It's about thinking for ourselves, not just blindly accepting what we're told.
Exactly. And along with that, embracing our individuality, not being afraid to be different, to stand out from the crowd, to express our unique gifts.
Because our differences are what make us special, right? They're what make life interesting.
Absolutely. True fulfillment comes from being authentically ourselves, not trying to fit into some mold that society tries to impose on us.
And it all starts with awareness, that constant practice of paying attention to our thoughts, our feelings, and our actions. It's about being more present in our lives, making conscious choices that align with our values.
Osho reminds us that this journey of self-discovery is a process. It's not about reaching some perfect state of enlightenment, but about enjoying the journey, the ups and downs, the lessons we learn along the way.
It's about embracing life with all its messiness and beauty.
Exactly. It's about approaching life with a sense of playfulness and curiosity, like a grand adventure.
And remembering that we're not alone on this journey. We can find support and connection with others who are also seeking truth and meaning in their lives.
Whether it's through formal communities or informal connections, we can learn from each other, inspire each other, and support each other along the way.
Well, that's a beautiful note to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Osho's teachings. We hope it sparked some new insights and inspired you to keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep embracing the fullness of who you truly are. Until next time, keep seeking, keep growing, and keep shining your unique light.